Hello there, and welcome to this brief chat about what's going on in the world of the old world. I did record another video saying I'm a bit concerned that we haven't seen any releases, but thankfully we now have. It's all come out. There is another interesting, in fact I'll get that up as well. There is another interesting article on here where there's a little footnote. I'll do this one first because it's a bit confusing. So right here, let's take a closer look at what's on the way for Warhammer Total War 3. Yeah, all cool stuff. Fans of Warhammer the Old World should note that there aren't any current plans to bring Kislev or Grand Cathay to the tabletop for the foreseeable future. That's a bit disappointing because that's been part of the hype for the old world since outset. From conversations with various people, it looks like not everybody is aware of that. So, whatever. But Cathay and Kislev, they did all the concept art for it and everything, and it looked pretty cool. In fact, I'll show you the cool concept art and stuff that they did originally. What am I looking for? Articles. I'm looking for the old world, and then if you go right to you have to click load more twice. And you go right down 3 times. You go right down to some of the first articles. Here we go. Grand Cathay's map for the old world and Kislev bears. So, Grand Cathay, they've mapped it. They've given us some concept art. This is by the old world design team. And this is what the map of Cathay looks like. So, looks pretty cool. Mao Ying, Zhao Ming, Zhen Yang, don't know how to pronounce that. Well, there'll be a lot more to come from the Grand Cathay and the Old World in due course. Old World Ice Guard of Kislev. So these are the old winged lancers, horse archers, very sort of cavalry, steppe heavy sort of force, so a bit like Britannia, but not like Mongol hordes, that kind of thing. And then bears. So there's Boris, Tsar Boris. There we go. So here's some concept art again from the old world team. This is only the beginning. Loads of cool stuff to see. And then it seems to have just sort of died off a bit, which is a bit weird. The interesting thing though about where's the there's the Louise Sugden. She gets everywhere, doesn't she? I think she started off as an artist there, didn't she? She's got a really good YouTube channel as well. I say as well, I mean mine isn't really good. It's acceptable at best. Where's the Goram map? But anyway, Kislev actually in this period of the Empire, which is 2742 or something like that, is actually quite powerful. In fact, it's probably equal in its power to the Empire, because this is kind of like the territory of the Empire. So you got what will become Marienburg there, which is now the Barony of Westerland, innovatively titled Westland, Middelland, Talabekland, Ostermark, East Marks, Stierland, which runs along the River Stier, which is this river here. You got Nuln as its own city-state, which I think is really cool. You got Paravon, so this is where the Empire borders Britannia here, Basically, Marienburg is part of the empire, but sort of on this side of the Manan Sport Sea. But then up here, you've got Kislev, which is actually kind of stretches all the way over here. None of these are clickable yet, but you can see the territory and the cities. Although, you know, Prague, you've got all these cities, Zojeng, you know, you've got some forts at the north, and you've got lots and lots of dwarves, Norse dwarves in these hills. Dwarves in them there hills. So, you know, the Norscan forces are pretty much kept at bay. This is where, you know, Dorznivort is still part of Kislev. This is all Kislev. Zamoshki, Ushkalak. All of this is kind of Kislevite. And this is essentially where the Chaos Dwarves sort of are. They're kind of around here somewhere. They're in fact there. So they're not really very powerful at all at this stage. But Kislev is a pretty big power. You know, you got orcs infesting these mountains, but they're fighting the dwarves. So, you know, then you got your border princes. But the point is that the empire is kind of here, beset from within, from lots and lots of enemies. And Kislev is a pretty kind of free realm, bolstered by a lot of dwarves, which, you know, they don't tend to get into a scrap with very often. Different speed. So, these, no, none of them are even ruins. So it's like Kislev is still very, very powerful at this stage. You know, we haven't had the first chaos, the first massive chaos invasion. I think that's in 24 years' time in the timeline. So that's what unifies the empire. Because the empire unifies to fight off chaos, which kind of tears through here and sacks Prague and all the rest. So Kislev is still a pretty big force. So it's a bit disappointing that they've, you know, that they've decided not to do Kislev for now. But anyway, we'll get there eventually, probably, maybe, don't know. So anyway, but I was a bit worried because it seems like, you know, our internal politics, because we know we've got the new Age of Sigmar this year, so each kind of department within Games Workshop kind of has to compete for airtime, as it were, and for production time, because they haven't quite got enough factory capacity to do everything they want to, which is why they've just bought another fairly large factory. So anyway, but no, we've got all the stuff out, so I was a bit worried. It's been a month since the last bit of news, but here we go. You can buy that. You can buy Nekaf. You can buy these. Come in a box of 36. They used to be 18, didn't they? So they've just doubled the size of the box. Well, they used to be 20, I think, actually, but Skeleton Horsemen come in a box of 16. It used to be a box of 8. So it'll be interesting to see how much these are going to be priced at. I'd imagine about 40 quid a box. But, you know, we'll see. And you can get the chariots. You've got Prince Apophis, which is this guy who's basically made out of scarabs. And the Necrotect, which is great because I've got one in my 2K list, so I need to buy one ASAP. You've also got some resin remasters. Now, remaster is a key word here because what they've basically done is they've taken the old sculpt, they've got it out, they've then got somebody to go over it and resculpt certain details and then cast it in resin. So it'll be a lot easier to put together because resin is easier than metal. I don't care what anybody says, it definitely is. I mean, metal, you need to drill all the joints, really, which just takes time. And that's why I haven't really got on with my Ushabti, because I seem to have lost the multi-tool bit where I get a drill, and it's just a pain in the pin feathers. They've also, like, resculpted quite a lot of the detail on these models as well, so they're a bit cleaner and a bit easier to paint, so that's good. What was the other remaster? Oh, no, it's just those two. And then Carrion, which I'm not sure what I feel about these. They just look a bit derpy and a bit weird, but you know, whatever. We've got the new Knights of the Realm on foot. You get 20 in a box, so these are new models, 20 in a box. I mean, if it follows AOS logic, that should be about 60 or 70 quid, so that might be a bit pricey, but we don't know. Quite a lot of stuff in the old world is a bit cheaper, so we'll see. But they look pretty cool. I don't know what to do for my Bretonnians. I quite like an army on foot. That, like, what? How do you hammer stuff to a sword? Anyway, I can see why that wasn't. I mean, some people really like it. Like, he looks like Giga Chad, but like, put the helmet on. Like, Knights of the Realm. They come in a box of 12. That's pretty cool, actually. I quite like that, because 12 is about the right number to buy, because, you know, you want a unit of 6 knights and you want a unit of 6 errants, really, in an army. So that's pretty good. I like the fact that they've done a unified paint scheme for the whole Bretonnians. Like black and red's a pretty good combo. It's not very Bretonnian though. Actually, what faction in Bretonnia is that? What am I doing? I want another tab. Let's have a look. Because if we go down to Je Map, de Montfort, but he's not on Croix. It's Castile, I think. Castile. Yeah. Red superior. Yeah, so it's Castile. So that's how they're painting everything. I mean, obviously you could pick any of these colour schemes and just do your whole army in one of these. This is where Coron is Louon Leoncoeur. That's where he... King Louon Orcslayer. Must be another Louis. I think they've done the sort of French tradition of all their kings seem to be called Louis for some reason. And then you got the Border Princes. Heraldry. Quite like that one. The Hermit Prince. Oh, quite like that. It's kind of, you know, I'm a fan of Slytherin. So that looks pretty cool. Oh, Harkon's got a... That's weird. He's got a little description here, but vampires aren't a thing. And you got the questing knights to their command. They're going to be probably like 36 quid for, you know, 3 alongside, which is aligned with the Grail Knights. But I think the Grail Knights have metal horses as well, don't they? But these are all metal. And then you got the metal squires. These models are quite cool. I quite like them. And then you got the damsels back. Prophetesses, damsels, whatever. It's a bit weird that they've decided to do these two, but because there were better models, I think, from memory. They haven't done... Actually, that's an interesting point, isn't it? They haven't done... Or is the Duke on foot? It's not, you know, that's a lord with great weapons. A genuine hidden gem. That's a hidden gem, is it? Right. Because I don't think either of the new special characters. So they've got all the named characters. Sorry for. They've got all the named characters for the Tomb Kings. Yeah, Cetra's released, isn't he? I think is Cetra released? Yeah, Cetra's already here. So that's the whole range. Apart from a Lich Priest on a mount, they haven't got one of those. So you haven't got a cavalry Lich Priest, but you got one on foot. So quit your whinging. Yeah, is there any way of... No. That's interesting. How are you going to get him on a mount? Because these are stood up in this little palanquin thing that's on top of this bone dragon. So I don't know how you'd... get him to sit on a mount? Because it's presumably metal. You could like cut the cloth out and then bend his legs around a mount, but it's a lot of effort for like something that we should really already have. It's a cool paint job though. I like that. I like that. What is that called? That kind of spear with like this Kopesh style blade that's got a name and I can't remember what it is. Yeah, that's a bit weird. But we haven't got either of the special characters for Bretonians. So that's Duke something or other, who's like a monster slayer, but he's on foot, which is quite cool. There was a model that they had for a bit ago on like made to order, which I'm a bit surprised. Here we go, Old World made to order. I'm a bit surprised they didn't keep him. Oh no, sorry, I've got that in my head, but that on foot. If they did a model of that on foot, that would basically be him, but he's not. I'm a bit surprised they didn't re-release that, because that's epic. Like, that's brilliant. Yeah, that damsel in particular I quite like. That was a good model to paint. That one was a bit weird. Unless you've painted one. If you've painted one, you'll know what I mean. It just, I don't know, it's a bit odd painting it. This one was pretty good. I think it was the hair, actually. The hair just I could never get that looking right. That's a cool Tomb King model. Like, why is that not part of the range? I don't know. And then look, you had this Lich Brit, so why not just leave that? Because that is an option, as is this. So like, why not? Bit weird that they've not, kept these on like permanent rotation, as it were. But we haven't got the damsel on Pegasus, which is it says not Pegasus, unicorn. So there's no. I mean, was there a Bretonian unicorn model? Not sure there was. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, it was the old Morgana the Fey model. And there was a Fey Enchantress on Unicorn model. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that was okay. That wasn't a terrible. Unicorn looks a bit derpy. But then you had Morgana the Fey, which was, not. Yeah, Unicorn still looks a bit derpy. Let's hope we're getting a new sculpt for those two guys. Oh God, this is such nostalgia. Look at that. Anyway, yeah. So we seem to be getting like more or less everything, but I think there's still more to come for Bretonia. But they seem to have released everything for Khemri now. That's all the named characters done. They've just got a few characters that they've not released. So that's that really. That's the update. And they said that they're not doing Kislev for the foreseeable future. However, that's probably because they've got so much to get through. Like, we've got a lot of stuff to re-release and get in the pipeline, as it were. So that would probably explain that. But I'm a little less concerned today, having read that. Yeah, so here's what's coming next is the orcs. Somebody told me on one of the chats that these are all monopose, so these boys, apparently the arms aren't posable, they all come like that. So like this whole torso, so the right arm of the torso is like attached. So the torso and the right arm are like one piece, apparently. So there's not a lot you can really do with them. Which is a bit rubbish. Yeah, these guys. Hold on, what's the difference between them? They look different to them. Am I getting confused? So what are these then? Yeah, because they seem to be But is it just me? Do they look like different models? Not sure. Anyway, we'll see. They look cool though. I quite like them. They're decent models. They look alright. I mean, the balls here look a bit derpy. These balls are way better. But yeah, still cool. Black Orcs, love Black Orcs. Like, I want to do like a Night Goblin list with like just a big brick of Black Orcs with great weapons, just to like smash stuff up. But that's going to be, I think that's going to be my Orc and Goblin list. Yeah, look at that. Oh, oh, it just looks great. Love green skins. I've never had a green skin army because I've never really found an army that are, oh, that is epic. I haven't seen that before. Well, I hadn't noticed it anyway. I've seen it. This model I absolutely detest. There is something foul and disgusting about it. Like, even if the rules for it are brilliant, I'm not getting one. Maybe. But you got the war boss on a wyvern there, that's a really, really old nostalgic model, but pretty cool. I love the way its horns are a bit kind of bent and out of shape. And we're also getting the Doom Diver back, which, I mean, jury's out on that. I think it's pretty good. So anyway, I've been doing a bit more work on the meta. So I thought I'd show you another boring spreadsheet. But so I've just been doing a bit of work cleaning up some. We've got a few more results coming in now. So we had a tournament called Fields of Glory in Gibraltar, 12-player 3-game event that was actually run by Orc and Goblin player Dorian Gordon. So I'll see if I can find that. Again, Best Coast Pairings is a really good resource for this because they what was it called again? Fields of Glory. Oh, idiot. Game system. Can I just search by the name? No, that doesn't seem to do anything. But yeah, there's just a couple of interesting lists that I thought might pique your interest. So there we go, there's Fields of Glory, so I'll have a look at that. And the other one was that one didn't have enough players. That didn't seem to happen. What was the other one called? Oslo. It was 2d6, wasn't it? Club 2d6. Yeah, they had a few. Oh, can't seem to find it now. That's, yeah, because it's just one club though, and not people coming from all over. It's not, you know, it's, I bet it was fun. There we go, Oslo Skjaldborg. So Warriors of Chaos took the win. Demon Prince Sorcerer Lord. So that's interesting. So there's no, this is Demon Prince who's level 4, Mark of Nurgle. Got the Ogre Blade, Armour of Meteoric Iron, which is a 3-up, can't improve. He's got a 4-up ward inbuilt anyway. So actually, with Demonology as the spell lore, that's going to be a pretty horrendous monster to deal with. And then you got a Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch on a demonic mount. So again, that's going to be pretty difficult to deal with. He's got a unit of Knights of Slaanesh, some Warhounds, a couple of units of Forsaken, some Marauder Horse, Chimera, Chosen Knights, big block of Chosen Knights, also of Slaanesh, so they get +1 initiative in the first round of combat. And also they got counter charge, so if you charge them with cavalry, they're probably even going before your cavalry because of Slaanesh, so they'll be up to initiative 8 effectively, with like tons of attacks and stuff, and they're immune to panic, which is pretty good. So that's a pretty decent list actually. I quite like that. It's what was the player's name? Stefan Nilsson Well done, Stefan. That was good. Andreas Flatterland. I hope I'm pronouncing these right. I apologise if I'm murdering it. Took out second place with this interesting list of orcs. Black Orc War Boss, Trollhide Trousers are an absolute must. I think if you're doing, you got 2 Orc Big Bosses and a Weird Knob, so level 4 Wizard. Like I said, level 4 Wizard, every list needs one. It's got a big Black Orc one, that's a big point sink, so 319 for that, and then so that's 628 points. That's a third of his army is in one unit, so that really has to do a lot of work. Then he's got some big uns, so these are like, I think the strength, big uns give them strength 4, I think. Orcs are always toughness 4, but big uns makes them strength 4, I think. They've got a big stabber, frenzy, and no armour, thrusting spears. So these are basically savage orc big uns, and a variety of goblins. The wolf riders are quite cool because I think they've got fire and flee as well, so they're pretty good. And the night goblins allow him to drop a couple of fanatics on the table. Interesting, he's only gone for 2. He's got 2 boar chariots and a wolf chariot, so this is quite an interesting list with lots of different things from across the greenskin range. So that's quite cool. That's quite a cool list. So well done, Andreas, for getting second, and Ingesgrava Falch, maybe Falca, don't know. With a Bretonian list, so he's got the Hippogriff, Virtue of Heroism, Lance Heroism, I think is the one that gives you Killing Blow and Monster Slayer, and a Paladin. So he's spent a decent chunk on heroes, and then he's got some standard units. Big unit of Questing Knights, which I approve of. I like Questing Knights. Big unit of Grail Knights too. No Trebuchet. 6 Battle Pilgrims with just 6 with a Reliquary. That's, I wonder what they're for. It's only 6, so they'll die. You know, they'll die to a stiff breeze. But interesting. So that's pretty cool. High Elves, and then Fields of Glory. We've got 2 players getting 3 wins. So we'll have a look at these lists. So this is Dorian Gordon, Goblin Oddnob, level 4, very expensive for. Oh no, hold on. 8 Goblin. He's on a spider. It's not down there, but that's why the points. That's 8 Goblin crew, 1 for each leg. Yeah, so that's very sensible because you've got some really good spells, so which essentially affect everything within an 18-inch range. So that's what that's for. And then you got Wallopers One Hit Wonder, which is just wonderful. I love that. It's cheap and it just, it's a 1 use per game weapon that just makes your goblin characters just amazing. But that's probably how he's going to be dealing with monsters. That's his answer for monsters. Something's just going to slap them. And then he's got some night goblins, more night goblins. No fanatics in that one, just 3 fanatics. Yeah, 3 fanatics there. So 20 goblins with spears, 20 goblins, 25 goblins with 24. 19. So okay, so the war boss and the big boss probably go in these. Yeah, and 2 orc boar chariots. They seem to be quite popular, the orc boar chariots. They are quite cheap actually for a heavy chariot. Actually, they're very cheap. They're probably worth taking actually. And then he's got a Doom Diver and some Mangler Squigs. So Mangler Squigs are an interesting monster because they're kind of random. But what that means is you don't get charge reactions against them because they've got a 3d6 move, so they move in the compulsory move phase. So if 3d6 means they're in combat, you don't get a charge reaction against them. So it's pretty good, but it's not a reliable movement. So nobody quite knows how fast they're going. So that's the Goblin player from Gibraltar who took it out, Stephen Pardo. with his Kingdom of Bretonia list. Let's have a look at that. So you got a Baron, Hippogriff, Virtue and Knightly Temper, and Biting Blade, Gromwell Great Helm. That basically gives you +1 to your save. So he's got full plate as well, I think. No, he hasn't. He's got heavy armour. You can't have full plate in Bretonia, unless it's a magic armour. But this basically makes it a 2-up save. And Virtue of Knightly Temper is like hatred, all enemies, and like plus D3 attacks or something. So that's a Blender Lord basically. It's got a level 2 wizard. A big unit of 10 Knights Errant. I wonder what that's for. Oh, this is a 1500 point tournament. Yeah. I was going to say, this doesn't look like a 2k list. Yeah, it's a big unit of Knights Errant. Has he taken... That's got 2 men-at-arms. This is a really weird list. He's got the he's got the 2 units of 25 like super stubborn men-at-arms, Knight Errant and Knights of the Realm to crash into them. That's interesting. Anyway, what my intention is when we start getting some 5-game tournaments, like do some weightings. So the 3-game tournaments essentially take a lower weighting, and then what I'll probably do as well is try and assign a weighting based on the number of entries as well. So essentially these win percentages for the factions change dependent on whether there's more players and whether there's more games and that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is so far the meta. So Beastmen have been taken a few times, 7 times so far. They've got a really good win percentage. So what the standard deviation means is essentially this plus or minus this is kind of like a normal result for this faction. So essentially this standard deviation basically means 2/3 of results for Tomb Kings. So Tomb Kings, are the 15 people that have gone to tournaments, 10 of them have got a win percentage between 86 and 26. So what we're looking at here, basically, Skaven, there's only 3 results, so that's probably going to be quite wide. So somebody's won all 3. Anyway, the standard deviation essentially shows you which factions are more reliable and are more consistent at tournaments. But with small numbers, it's not really a very effective metric, so it doesn't really matter yet. But this will start to tell us who's a bit more reliable. Because basically, if you've got, say for instance you had this at 60, but the standard deviation was like 40 and everybody else was 30, that means that essentially this is getting high results because there's like a list that works, but there's a lot of people with lists that don't, right? So this kind of formulation will allow us to sort of draw out, whether there's like a list or 2 that are winning for this faction and everything else doesn't work, so the internal balance is a bit off. Or if somebody's like, if these percentages persist, Lizardmen we could say are broken. I mean, they're not, because there's only 2, but this essentially allows us to say, well, if you've got a high win percentage and a low standard deviation, that means that particular faction is doing incredibly well no matter what people take. So that means the external balance, i.e. the balance against other lists, is off. So that's the point of this, really. But yeah, I need to start weighting it when we get some results that's going to make a difference. But anyway, win percentages at the moment, like Bretonia seem to be doing alright at 58%. 10% of the meta, essentially 58%. Dwarves are doing quite well. They're quite reliable as well, so they win most of their games and quite consistently. So, you take Dwarves to a tournament, you're probably going to win a game, basically. So yeah. You take Vampire Counts, you're probably not going to win a game, is what this is saying at the moment. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but maybe nobody's found the list that works. I'm not surprised with vampire counts, actually. I mean, I know it's only 6 results, so you can't really say much at this stage, but I'm not surprised with vampire because there is so much choice. And actually, you see vampire counts, Empire of Man, Orc and Goblin tribes, down here. Actually, Chaos Dwarves and Ogre Kingdoms are pretty similar. There is so much stuff in those lists that look really good, and there's so much stuff that looks like it could be good, that, and it probably isn't. So these are going to take a bit of finessing. I'd actually say that Beastmen are in that camp too, in that there's a lot that's really good, but it's just really difficult to work out how to build a list. Demons, I think as long as you stick to a single god, whatever you pick is going to be pretty good. Again, 4 results, so we can't really say anything about these numbers yet. They're just not reliable. We need like about, I'd guess, how much before it becomes reliable? Like about 100 before the stats start to get a bit more reliable. I mean, ideally 400 per faction, but that's going to take some years probably. But yeah, you need a lot of data before like standard deviation becomes an appropriate. It's parametric stats, so maths. So yeah, interestingly, the win percentage average is 45%. That's because actually there's quite a lot of draws, so I need to work out a way of building in draws to this formulation as well. And then what I'm going to do is provide like a composite ratio that just essentially says which faction's the best. But again, there's not really enough data. I'm looking for, I'd say, probably about 50. Like as soon as one or more factions start to hit 50 appearances at tournaments, then I'll start to think about doing a bit more data analysis and doing a bit more of a deep dive. But yeah, at the moment there's just not really enough results. There was a comment on one of my videos saying, can't you just do all this and then show us it? And I'm like, yeah, I can, but I'm trying to explain the methodology because it's still really early days. So I'm just trying to explain how this all works so that when you're watching these later, you know what I'm talking about, and I don't have to spend half an hour explaining how the stats work, basically. But, you know, anyway. Cool. So I think I've waffled on for long enough today. So we've got some cool new releases. We've had a couple of tournaments. We've looked at a few lists. If you've got this far, I'd hope you'd consider subscribing. I hope this video's earned your subscription. And if you like the video, there's a button for that. And if you want to chat about anything or provide feedback, just, you know, let me know in the comments. You know, I'm happy to always happy to have a chat. I think I've answered every single comment so far, so you know, I'd like to keep that up for as long as possible. I'm up to 150 subscribers now, which is pretty cool. I didn't really expect that when I started, but anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again soon. Toodaloo.